welcome to another episode of Under the Hood. I'm with
Spencer. I'm the President of Operations for Choice.
I'm Logan, the Vice President of Dealer Relations for Choice. And today we're talking about chargebacks.
And I'm glad we switched that up a little bit because always me talking, you talking. I'd like to switch that up a little bit. Chargebacks. Nobody likes chargebacks.
No.
I mean, as an F&I manager, I think I'm coming up on my 24th year in the car business. I started selling cars when I was 18, and as a salesperson, you really didn't have chargebacks, right? It was just you sold the car, you got paid your commission on it, unless the car actually came back. But
right.
Once I got into F&I, man, I hated chargebacks, especially when they're the other person's chargebacks, right? Like I came into that department and I was arguing, I didn't want chargebacks on my pay plan because, I didn't create those chargebacks. Those came from the other guy. And I had a great dealer that I worked with. And one of his comments was, when you leave, guess what's going to happen? I'm going to be paying those chargebacks. So you're going to pay a portion of the old ones. I'm going to pay the ones after you leave. And I didn't really have an answer for that. He's a smart guy.
Yeah.
But anyways, something that we can talk about today that I think adds a lot of value to the conversation is just ways to avoid chargebacks, right?
Yeah.
There's a couple different ways to do it. I know that you've asked me about this in the past, and we've come up with different programs. I think the first one is just something that Choice does in general. We have a chargeback process, so customers can go on to our website and fill out the cancellation form. We don't want the dealership doing it. And the reason why we don't want the dealership doing it is sometimes you get the F&I manager who doesn't turn in the cancellation form. You get an upset customer. They're upset at me. They're upset at the dealer. And that cancellation form gets stuck in a drawer and it never actually cancels. We don't like that.
Yeah.
Customer doesn't like it. It's not ethical. We want to make sure the customer gets their portion of their refund immediately or as quickly as possible. So that's a portion of it. I think there's a lot of great F&I managers out there, say the majority of them. Mm-hmm. And when you do have some turnover, sometimes those get lost. So having it online and being accessible to either the customer or the dealer immediately will expedite that cancellation process. We're getting money back to the lien holder or back to the customer, back to the dealer, much more expeditiously than the old process was, which was sending in an email, filling out a form, faxing it in, sending over an image. All of it's available on choiceautoprotection.com. That's what I really like about our site. It's customized for the dealers to be able to easily use all those features. Like we've got claims, submit for a claim on our website, submit for a cancellation, submit for claim payment, sign up for Choice Auto Protection. You can pretty much do everything and it's all customer facing.
Yeah.
So the reason why that's reduced chargebacks is because when those chargebacks come in, we've got a team here that's going to communicate to the consumer and try to hold that contract, right? Maybe that customer wants to cancel that policy because they think that's going to lower their car payment.
Right.
And it just doesn't. I mean, you cancel out a service contract, that money's going to go back to your lien holder, but it's not lowering your car payment. And I think that a customer would rather have mechanical failure protection on their vehicle than not.
Exactly.
Maybe they're looking at their budget and they're going, you know what, maybe I spent too much on the car. And they're looking at a way to lower their car payment. We'll try to help overcome those objections prior to canceling. So we don't want that contract to cancel either. So that's a large portion of why I believe that our chargebacks are quite a bit lower. It's all done online. It can be done by the consumer. And we're communicating with every one of those buyers, every one of the customers that you sold a policy to about why they want to keep that contract, how it's going to affect the overall ownership experience for them, maybe explaining the terms and conditions, because sometimes people just want to cancel it because they didn't get a good explanation from the F&I manager. Maybe they were newer. Maybe they didn't go over all the different products that were sold at time of purchase. But by us being that second stop and having professionals that know the car industry and be able to help save those contracts has lowered our overall company's chargeback rates by a significant amount. So that's one.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, I just wanted to say, as being the second stop, it almost adds like a second layer of trust, right?
Yeah.
Because if they contact the dealership and, maybe sometimes they don't believe the dealership saying, oh, it's not going to lower my payment. Sometimes it does take that second person to really, keep them in the position that they are.
Yeah, that's a good point. And we're happy to talk to customers. I think that's what Choice was built on, is high level of communication. So that was the first one. The second one is something that I know a lot of our agents, distributors, and dealers ask about, which is no chargeback products.
Yeah.
We have them. Absolutely, they're available. But what does that mean? How does that work? Is the dealership would have a certain amount of time, 90 days, right, from the date that the contract is written. And after that, there's no chargeback to the dealer. A lot of our smaller dealers want that product because they don't want the chargebacks to offset their flow of capital, right? They get hit with a big chargeback. That could mean, it could be detrimental to their cash flow.
Yeah. So
what we did was created a percentage. Now you're going to pay more for those contracts. Our chargeback program versus our no chargeback program, there's two different price points there, right? So our no chargeback program is priced a little bit higher because we're having to reserve for that percentage of cancellations. And then our chargeback program is a little bit lower. However, it will allow you to set that stage where your payment, your income is going to be, level, right? You're not going to have those ebb and flows of large chargeback months. So that's an option. We offer that on every one of our products. So gap, service contract, tire and wheel, anything that's cancelable, we have a no chargeback option for it. I know that that's something that you've offered to your dealers.
Yeah.
I mean, are they going to make more money?
It's be about pretty even.
Yeah, it's pretty even. We're pricing it out so we're not winning every time, they're not losing every time, kind of a deal. But I mean, if the law of large numbers is implied, we're making more money, so it actually would behoove the dealership to do the chargeback program than the no chargeback program. But it's available and it's there, and sometimes just not having to deal with the chargeback is the benefit of that small percentage that I'm paying extra for that contract.
Exactly.
So, what else about chargebacks? That we've seen that has really kind of annoyed some of our dealer partners.
I would say, I guess it's every time you say chargeback, I think of this dealer that I have, and he always talks about being on a chargeback crusade. So there's a bunch of different products that they can use, and obviously the laws are different in different states, and different lenders have their requirements. Maybe that's something that we could talk about.
We do have, and I'm glad you brought that up because we do have a couple of states. It's not every state, but there is a no cancellation, or say it's not a no chargeback, but the effect of it is the same.
Right.
But it's a non-cancelable service contract. Now you have to give some consideration to the consumer that they're going to pay less for that product, right, than a cancelable one. So you have to have both products available. And the consideration is, hey, look, this product costs less, but it's non-cancelable. And that is available. There's a very few limited number of states. I believe there's 4 in total that the product is available. You can reach out to Choice, and I'm sure if you're in one of those states, you'll know, and you know which products are available in those states, and you can ask about those. So that's certainly a way to offset that. The other thing I think is important is maybe selling some products if you're a franchise dealer, focusing on products that are non-chargebackable, right?
Yeah.
I don't think we really focus on that enough because we're always stuck on service contracts. Yep. We're always stuck on gap protection, which is a great product, and we have a no chargeback program for those. But maybe selling something else like a paint sealant or a rust program. We've been working on a rust program, and we will have that up and running very shortly. I'm very, very, very excited about that. It's going to be something very cool for the marketplace that we're excited to announce. But we have other non-chargebackable products, and I would gravitate towards those products. If you're really worried about it, that's something you're going to add on the vehicle physically that you cannot cancel, you cannot remove. It's going to be permanently on that vehicle, like the paint sealants, and maybe move towards that. I mean, Road Hazard, great product. Key, great product. Dent and Ding, great product. They're all wonderful products. However, you do have that exposure of that customer saying, all right, well, maybe I don't want that. Or when the car is deemed a total loss, or maybe it's repossessed, the bank's going to cancel all those products, right? And you're going to get a chargeback. So focusing and shifting some of your focus on non-chargebackable products can raise your ROI at your dealership by a considerable amount.
Oh yeah, and definitely to add on to that, I think it's funny how like I'll go to a dealer and this dealer is a windshield dealer. I'll go to another dealer and they can't sell windshield to save their life, but they sell a bunch of ceramic coating.
Yeah.
So it's really what you want to put your time and effort into. You can really develop your team around a no chargeback system.
Yeah, a theft. Theft is another product that we have got quite a few dealers that do offer a theft program and non-chargebackable. I like what you're saying though, is because you almost have to go to your sales team and let them advocate for what they think is a good product, right? You can maybe serve up, here's the 5 different products that are available, all from Choice, of course.
Yep.
But I've got these 5 different products. These are all non-cancelable products, non-chargebackable. Which of these do you guys all feel is easiest for you to be able to present and sell? And that's going to be different, to your point, based on the type of dealership. If it's a Toyota store versus a Honda store versus a Dodge store versus, CDGR, well, they have Dodge's CDGR, but depending on what type of store that it is, they might see value in different products. If you're a Kia store, probably going to sell a lot of theft.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly.
I'm just saying, and I'm not trying to knock Kia here, but they have a theft issue. Yep. So maybe that's something that you would offer at your stores. And geographically, I think that makes a big difference too, because in certain states, it's almost expected to have a theft product, right?
Yep.
I lived out in New England for a while, lived in Connecticut, worked for a really great auto group out there. They had 9 stores, and etch was a big thing. And this was years ago, 15 years ago, right? I mean, I'm in my early 40s, and when I got there as the F&I director, I'm like, you guys sell etch? I thought it was, kind of like a joke product because, I was doing finance. I'm like, nobody really sells it anymore.
Yep.
But in that market, that was a big deal. And because New York was close, obviously Boston was close. There's some bigger cities, Hartford, New Haven. They had high theft rates, so that just became a product that was developed, and people commonly saw that as this is what's coming on my vehicle. And they saw value in it. So
Right.
it depends on obviously auto insurance too as well. So, well, those are some of the products, some of the different ways you could certainly lower your chargebacks. I know it's kind of a dirty word, I almost feel like I'm swearing a little bit to our car dealer friends and our agents because nobody likes it. But it's manageable. I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's manageable. You have to look at the different processes. And talk with somebody on our team like Logan. He can walk you through all the different products, maybe some different ways to help you curb some of your chargebacks, keep more of the money that you make. It's great to make $10, but it's not so great if you have to give back $9.75 of it. So it's always about what you make, and it's more or less about what you keep, right? It's not about what you make, what you keep. I think I got that right.
Yeah, exactly.
So, all right, well, this will wrap up this episode of Under the Hood. I'll see you guys in the next one. Appreciate it. If you guys want to see us talk about something different, leave a comment section in it. We've got a lot of different products. If you know choice, we've got a ton of different products on the shelf, off the shelf. If there's something that you guys would like to see us develop, please make a comment, and we will make sure that and sometime in the future, we'll do an episode on it.
Yeah.
Appreciate you. Thanks, guys.